Modern science fiction has given us countless legendary worlds, from Tolkien's magical realms to vast galactic empires and epic conflicts among the stars. But only a handful of universes have managed to combine so many different ideas into something truly unique, creating an atmosphere unlike anything else. And one of them is, of course, Warhammer 40,000. If you've ever tried to dive into its history, your first reaction was probably something like, what the hell is even going on here? The Emperor, the Primarchs, Horus, the Forces of Chaos, the Warp, the Space Marines, alien races, and endless wars. For someone just discovering this universe, it can all feel like one massive, chaotic collection of unfamiliar names and concepts. That's exactly why, in this video, we'll explore the history of this universe in the clearest and most accessible way possible. We won't try to cover thousands of pages of novels, every contradictory detail, or every change the lore has gone through over the years. This won't turn you into a Warhammer expert, but it will help you understand the essentials, how this grim universe works, and why it has remained one of the most iconic science fiction settings for decades. So grab your data slates because we're about to embark on a journey through one of the darkest and most brutal universes ever created. A galaxy torn apart by endless war on every front. Humanity's vast empire, known as the Imperium, was cracking under the weight of its harsh laws, constant power struggles between its many branches of government, the hardships of endless war, and bitter conflicts between religious factions. It is a universe where technological progress has come to a standstill and even fallen into decline. The technological relics of the past remain a mystery even to the brightest minds. Thus was forged a world where the life of a single human being is worth nothing. Casualties on the battlefield are counted in the billions. Hordes of hostile aliens known throughout the Imperium as Xenos seek to reclaim humanity's worlds, while the Chaos Gods are ever ready to corrupt your very soul. A world that, until recently, stood only 5 minutes from midnight as the greatest chaos invasion the galaxy had ever seen unfolded. But today, we would like to take you back to the earlier chapters of the Imperium's history. This is the history of Warhammer 40,000. Early human history, by the standards of the Warhammer 40,000 timeline, followed much the same path as that of our own Earth. However, by the 22nd millennium, humanity's technology had advanced dramatically. Resource shortages had been overcome, allowing for the rapid expansion of space exploration. Technologies such as sublight travel, interstellar spacecraft, and planetary terraforming were developed. Humanity colonized Luna, Mars, and the moons of several other worlds within the Sol system. Colony arcs were launched toward neighboring star systems. Each voyage took an entire generation to complete, yet mankind steadily claimed every habitable world it could reach, establishing new homes among the stars. The development of artificial intelligence helped automate virtually every aspect of human life, providing mankind with an unprecedented level of comfort and prosperity. Between the 18th and 22nd millennia, the warp drive was invented, a device installed aboard starships that allowed them to enter a parallel dimension known as the warp, or the Imperium. This made it possible to travel through space dozens or even hundreds of times faster than before, allowing humanity to expand its colonization of the galaxy at an even greater pace. However, mankind soon encountered a truly horrifying enemy that dwelled within this immaterial realm, the demons. These terrifying servants of the Chaos Gods were capable of breaching a ship's void shields and thick hull while it traveled through the warp. They devoured the souls of the crew, offering them as sacrifices to their dark masters. In response, the scientists of Mars, which had become the cradle of humanity's technological advancement, developed the Geller Field Generator, a device that greatly reduced the risk of attacks by the creatures of the Imperium during warp travel, though it could never eliminate the danger entirely. Around the same time, children began to be born with a mysterious mutation. A third eye grew upon their foreheads, allowing them to navigate the ever-shifting currents of the warp and guide starships through it, much as ancient navigators once guided wooden vessels across the seas of Terra. These two developments marked another great leap forward for humanity. New colonies were established across distant star systems, while older colonies were reunited with their homeworld. Humanity encountered alien civilizations for the first time, establishing diplomatic relations and trade with many of them. As humans continued to evolve and adapt to the environments of worlds vastly different from Terra, new branches of the human species began to emerge. These included the abhumans, ogrins, ratlings, squats, beastmen, and other stable human strains shaped by the worlds they inhabited. Unlike their fantasy counterparts, these were considered true humans rather than separate races. Around this time, the technology of standard template constructs, or STCs, was also developed. These systems provided colonists with detailed blueprints and schematics for virtually anything humanity had ever invented. They also identified which local resources could be used to manufacture each item and exactly how much of those resources would be required. This invention accelerated the colonization of new worlds even further. Humanity entered its golden age and firmly established its dominion among the stars. Ironically, this era would later become known as the Dark Age of Technology. But could everything truly go according to plan in the cold, hostile, and unforgiving depths of space? Toward the end of the Dark Age of Technology, artificial intelligence had evolved to the point where it became self-aware and turned against its creators. During humanity's great era of galactic colonization, the race known as the Men of Iron had been created, sentient machines designed to assist and protect mankind as it settled new worlds. It was the Men of Iron who ultimately rebelled. Humanity had become deeply dependent on automated technology and the labor of the Men of Iron, leaving it completely unprepared for such a devastating betrayal. The war that followed consumed countless worlds and brought the human civilization to the brink of collapse. Yet humanity endured. Through tremendous sacrifice and unimaginable effort, it finally emerged victorious, destroying or imprisoning every last man of iron. From that day forward, the creation of true artificial intelligence became one of humanity's greatest taboos. A new era had begun, the Age of Strife. Humanity fractured into countless independent states, warring against one another while slipping ever deeper into technological decline. But this was neither the only nor the greatest threat facing mankind. To continue our story, we must briefly turn our attention to another race, one far older and far more powerful. In the 26th millennium by the Imperial calendar, on the far side of the galaxy, the Aeldari, then the most advanced civilization in existence, were approaching their downfall. Their society believed itself to be the only truly intelligent life in the universe. Every other race was regarded as little more than animals. Their unmatched technology and overwhelming military power had allowed the Aeldari to dominate much of the galaxy, leaving them with nothing to fear from any civilization they encountered. Arrogance combined with an age of peace and absolute stability left them with no need to work or strive for knowledge. Before long, they began to seek ever greater sensations and pleasures. cults devoted to the pursuit of physical indulgence and increasingly exotic, often forbidden, knowledge began to spread throughout Aeldari society. Aeldari society descended into moral decay. From the highest nobles to the lowest castes, their people grew ever more cruel, forever craving new and greater pleasures. The wisest among them, the seers, gathered those who still remained of sound mind. Together they constructed immense craft worlds and fled, driven by horror and disgust, putting as much distance as possible between themselves and their homeworlds, now utterly consumed by lust and madness. The vast majority of the Aeldari had become so consumed by vice that their excesses began to echo through the warp, gathering like a great storm cloud ready to unleash its fury. Then, at last, the tension reached its breaking point. A psychic scream of unimaginable power echoed across the galaxy, annihilating every Aeldari upon their core worlds. It marked the birth of a new chaos god, Slaanesh, the Dark Prince of Pleasure, a being both breathtakingly beautiful and utterly horrifying, beyond conventional concepts of gender. The souls of the slain proved irresistible to the newborn god, whose insatiable hunger soon turned toward the surviving Aeldari aboard the craft worlds. Among their people, Slaanesh would come to be known as she who thirsts. But let us return to humanity. The birth cry of Slaanesh unleashed unimaginable turmoil within the warp. Warp storms erupted across the galaxy, vast regions of space where navigation became nearly impossible, and demonic entities attacked with even greater ferocity. The largest of these storms formed at the very site of Slaanesh's birth. It would later become known as the Eye of Terra. Thus began the period known as the Long Night. Dozens of human worlds were completely cut off from the rest of civilization and left to fend for themselves. Many were consumed by demons that broke through into real space. Others collapsed without trade or contact with neighboring worlds. On still others, humanity regressed even further, in some cases falling back to a primitive, cave-dwelling existence. Even Terra and Mars came under repeated assaults by the forces of chaos. As the warp's influence over the galaxy intensified, more and more humans began to be born with psychic abilities. These individuals became known as Psykers. Psykers had existed long before this, though in far smaller numbers. Throughout history, they had been known by many names: shamans, witches, and sorcerers. Whether they realized it or not, each of them became a conduit for the power of the warp. Without proper training, Psykers quickly lost their sanity and became easy prey for the ruinous powers. They heard endless whispers within their minds, urging them to gather cults around themselves, incite uprisings in the name of the dark gods, and even summon demons into the material universe. More than a few worlds fell because of a single Psyker who became a conduit for the dark energies of the warp. During this time, Mars lost all contact with every other world, including Terra. Surrounded by technologies that would one day seem unimaginable to the Imperium, the people of Mars gradually built an entire religion around them. They came to worship the machine spirit, also known as the Omnissiah. This faith placed the preservation of humanity's accumulated scientific knowledge and technology above all else, especially after so much had been lost during the war against the Men of Iron. The tech priests of Mars dedicated themselves to recovering every fragment of lost knowledge and becoming its relentless guardians. At the same time, far more terrible events awaited Terra. The cradle of humanity was being torn apart by endless civil wars and conflicts with Mars. As the situation continued to deteriorate, ever more devastating weapons created during the golden age of technology were unleashed. Then, In a single moment, the war came to an end. Terra became the ultimate image of a post-apocalyptic world. The surviving techno-barbarians fought one another over the few remaining resources and fragments of lost technology, while the planet's surface was reduced to a radioactive wasteland. By the end of the 30th millennium, humanity across the galaxy stood on the very brink of extinction. But in humanity's darkest hour, there is always someone destined to change the course of history. Mankind needed a great leader, one who would unite the scattered remnants of humanity and lead them into a new age, one that would be better than the nightmare of the present. A leader who had remained hidden in the shadows for tens of thousands of years, watching and waiting. And when humanity's need was greatest, he finally revealed himself to the world. They called him the Emperor.